business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the pod.
Welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. Every episode is an invitation, a reminder that business and life isn't just about profit, it's about purpose. It's about showing up with a servant's heart in every deal, every decision, every day to make a powerful impact on others. My guest today, oh my God, you spend 5-10 minutes with people and you just connect. She gets this servant heart way above me. I learned a lot from her already today. You will as well. She's going to motivate you. She's going to challenge you. But more importantly, you're going to walk away with tools and resources to inspire action both in your life and the life of others. How cool is that? Before we dive in, here's your homework today. How are you going to serve yourself and others today? You always start with yourself first. Whatever that looks like. It doesn't have to be a big impact. Even a small act of kindness or courage change the game. To serve yourself, I walked my dog today. I spent 10 minutes walking the dog and went away to serve myself. I got regenerated, I got fired up. It's a Saturday. Do those small things to serve yourself. So lean in, take notes. Let's discover how servant leadership in business can really create ripple effects that last far beyond the bottom line. So big thanks to my sponsor, Epic Impact, the storytelling system that helps you convert, helps your message connect and convert. Yeah, I do know English. I did graduate from high school. It's just 4 steps. It's engage, persuade, inspire, and close with clarity with your story. I use it every day for all my messages. Try it free at epicimpact.ai with the code Steve and change your message, change your results. And a quick shout out, we hit top 20 in small business marketing of all podcasts. I thank you all for sharing this out, audience and guests, because we're making an impact, and let's keep doing that. With that being said, let's bring our guest on. Daniela, welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart.
Thank you so much for having me, Steve.
Tell us your passion for working with women leaders in nonprofit.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I've worked in nonprofits for over 15 years, both in Canada and in South Africa. And I've been really passionate about that work. And one of the places that I was the most passionate about was working with for a center that worked with refugees in South Africa. And I really, really loved that work. And, I remember sitting in this office with a door that just kept opening. So like a teacher would come in and ask for a CD that they lost. A student would come in and say, I missed the midterm because I was running an English school. How do I make it up? A volunteer would come in and ask for help with their task list. And I just kept saying yes, 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 yes. Until one day, I was just sitting there looking at the door and thinking, if one more person comes in and asks me one more thing, I am going to scream. I just felt so depleted, no energy left, nothing left. And I felt so guilty, right? Because I was there supposed to be supporting refugees who'd been through unimaginable trauma. And at that moment, all I wanted to do was go home and go to bed. And I kind of looked out through this window at the open plan office and my colleagues, and everybody else seemed fine. And so I kind of thought, okay, like this is just me, right? There must be something wrong with me. And so I started doing all these things to try to help myself. I was doing yoga. I was doing meditation. I even went on a silent retreat, but nothing was actually sticking. And it wasn't until I found this woman-centered training program that I realized why. Because in this program, the coach said something to me that really shifted things. She said, what you think is generosity, this overgiving that you're doing, it's actually a pattern of tying your work to your worth. And that was just like, wow, such a light bulb moment for me. And I didn't know how I was going to break the pattern, but at that moment, I was determined that I was going to do that. And that's really why I'm passionate about working with nonprofit women leaders, because I think as women, we've been taught to put everybody else's needs before our own. And then you get into nonprofit, right, where that's your job. Your job is to serve other people. And so we're giving and we're giving and we're giving, but we're losing ourselves in the center of it. and good people are burning out all the time. And it's such a loss, right? It affects the people, it affects their families, and it affects the world because we're losing people who are so passionate, who have so much to give, but they don't know how to do it in a sustainable way.
Powerful message. Powerful, because of maternal instinct. I'm male, obviously I don't know it, but that's, we talk about all the time, that maternal instinct is basically taking care of people without taking care of yourself. And that's just not good, because like any business or nonprofit, if you're not healthy, wise, spiritual, and taking care of yourself, you can't grow a nonprofit. It's just impossible. You might have a short term, but it's not long term, and that's for sure.
You
So
know,
cultures, go ahead.
well, I was just going to say, because I think it's really interesting. There's a lot of messaging out there around self-care, right? And we need to take care of ourselves. But I think what I realized for myself, and this is what I'm supporting women with, is like there's something that's deeper that's underneath that. Because even if I try to take care of myself, if I have this belief underneath that other people matter more than I do, or I'm going to fail people that I'm serving if I take care of myself, then I won't be able to do that, or I won't be able to do it over the long term. So it's kind of like addressing those deeper beliefs that are underneath what we're doing.
It's big. Thank you for sharing that, because that is big. I didn't think about that. That's really big. And that leads to culture. Culture is so big in business. If you don't think it is, guys, listen to girls, listen to some of my podcasts. But in nonprofit, I think culture is even bigger. And you have this thriving culture in nonprofits. How do you define that for them?
Well, so I think, what I've seen with the culture in nonprofits, I think it's a little bit of a challenge because a lot of the time we're so focused on the mission externally and achieving that mission, which is a beautiful thing and a powerful thing, that we can forget about the culture inside the organization and how we support the people that work in the organization to thrive. Because those are our powerhouses, right? Those are the people that are doing the work. And so I think a lot of the time, especially with scarce resources, there aren't resources, time, and energy going into fostering that culture of thriving in the organization itself. And that's where I really see a gap. And that's what I'm passionate about, because I believe that the people who are going out making this change and so passionate about supporting everyone else deserve the same kind of support themselves.
Yeah, you get the word passion project, and that's good. But if you're doing a nonprofit, it's a business. It's got to be run like Microsoft, Google. I mean, but they've got to be Amazon. You got to run them like that. And I've talked to a lot of nonprofits; they don't have that expertise. So it sounds like you come in with these women leaders and going, "Hey, you got a nonprofit. It's a business. Let me help the culture and everything to build this like a business." And one of those is taking care of your team, right?
100% to build it sustainably, right? I think that's the part. And how do we come from a place of abundance and collaboration rather than a place of scarcity and lack?
Yeah.
Because that's another thing that we see in nonprofits. We get really protective over these very scarce resources and we stop supporting each other and we kind of operate in our own silos, which doesn't help the sector or us as individuals and organizations.
No, and we need nonprofits. So I'm really passionate about what you do, because there's so much benefit in that. Now, I found a phrase going through all your stuff, a conflict positive systems. It seems kind of weird, but I know you're going to explain to me how it really works. Tell us about that.
Yeah, thank you. And a lot of people have the same reaction. Like, isn't that an oxymoron, right?
Yeah, that's the word I was thinking.
Positive. Like, what does that actually mean? Well, the idea with that is like, how do we approach conflict as something that could be an opportunity for growth, an opportunity to actually strengthen relationships instead of something to fear and, just kind of avoid, push under the rug. And that's what our culture has kind of socialized us into. The conflict's bad, it's negative, we need to avoid at all costs. But actually, conflict can be an opportunity for us to hear different perspectives, to strengthen the way we work together. And if we kind of know that we can approach a conflict constructively and proactively and get through stronger on the other side, we start to build more trust and start to strengthen our teams, which also leads to more sustainable organizations, right? Because people stay where they feel seen, where they feel heard, where they feel there are forums to actually raise the concerns they have and not have negative repercussions, but actually have them addressed.
Yeah, now I understand. Now it makes a lot of sense because you're right. You could have nonprofits are known for this. They're doing something. Donation doesn't work. Their system on their website doesn't work. I've had nonprofits I've talked to like, oh, you know, they're complaining. It works. It works. It works. Well, it didn't. They lost thousands of dollars. That was a conflict, and they didn't listen to their donors or business people out there. It's no different. Your customers or clients. You got to listen to them. You've got to survey them. You've got to talk to them. So I'm going to start borrowing conflict positive systems. That is absolutely beautiful.
Thank you, Steve. And I just want to add something there as well,
Yeah.
because I think the other part, aside from the mindset around this, is the system part, right? Because I've
Yeah.
worked in a lot of organizations where it's like you've got this line in the HR manual that says, go see HR if you have a conflict, right? And that is not a system. That's not a proactive system. And so what I help organizations to do is to create a system, which is a really simple meeting structure that people can learn. And it's kind of their go-to with conflict, where they're able to come in and feel like they're going to be heard and respected. And then we use the values of the organization to help people come to a common understanding and collaborative way forward.
I'm a podcast host, done a lot of shows, and I love saying, well, can't say I love, but I have no problem saying, yeah, I made a mistake. I'm not perfect. And that's what I love about what you're saying is leaders of nonprofits, especially women you work with, it's okay to say, you know, you're right, I'm wrong. Let's pivot to the game changer.
Yeah.
But that leads to
Can I
go ahead, add some more. Love, bring it on.
Yeah, well, I love that too, because I think that's also something I see in the women leaders I work with, right? When we're kind of in a position of leadership, we kind of feel like we should have it all together. And there can be this really big fear about admitting that we don't know or we made a mistake, because it's like, well, maybe that makes me a bad leader, when the reality is it makes you a stronger leader because you can share your vulnerability, you can be authentic, and you can learn and grow the same as you're encouraging people that you're supporting to do. So I think that's a really, really important key point.
And the point's even bigger in audience, female audience, especially if you're listening, even more so that you just said with females. I can't make a mistake. It's a man-driven nonprofit business. Oh my God, I'm the only salesperson in this, and I can't make a mistake. Yes, you can. You can, you know, if you're making millions and you make one mistake, you can. So, man, I love this. But that leads to the collaboration with nonprofits. I don't think they collaborate enough. Maybe I'm way wrong. But what do you think about collaboration with nonprofits?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, because what I've seen in the organizations that I've worked with, there tends to be a limited pool of funding, and then people are competing for the funding. So that it tends to kind of cause this competition rather than collaboration. Whereas I think if nonprofits can come together and brainstorm and come up with innovative solutions to support each other, right, we're so much stronger together. And then the collaboration with businesses, like look at innovative ways to partner. The organization I was working with in South Africa was doing some amazing things with that, like really coming up with creative, innovative solutions. How do we get more funding, right? Rather than just kind of this one pool of funding that you have. But that requires like a abundance mindset, a partnership mindset, all of those things.
Yeah, you can't keep going to donors. I need more money. I need more money. I need more money. It's going to dry up. People are like, hey, I've given you enough and you still need more. Yeah, it's that's really good. Now, I'm kind of saving the best for last in the sense of
Okay.
I think nonprofits, what is their, I mean, business too, but more so nonprofit, it's their story.
Mm.
Your
Mm.
nonprofit, their story is amazing. Wounded Warriors, good or bad, you know, they have a story. I know a bunch of nonprofits, but it's a story that ties to them. How should they be storytelling nonprofits to really get the biggest bang for their buck? Because that's important.
Yeah. I think that's always the way, right? People connect to those personal stories. And I think another part that's powerful around that, it's the stories of transformation, because that's, I think, often donors can be really focused on numbers, how many people access the service, that kind of thing. But it's not about, I mean, of course, it's good to reach more people, but how did somebody's life actually transform because of this? And that's where the power is. So to showcase those stories so people see the depth of the transformation that's happening and why it's so critical. And, of course, you're right. And like I was saying, the collaboration and the innovative ways of doing that and bringing in funding is so important. And we also need our societies to value nonprofits, to really see their value and support them as well, and not kind of have them over here on the side expected to do everything for free, right? Like so there's it's kind of a both and, I think, in that
Yeah,
in that
yeah.
way.
So what I'm hearing is nonprofits should be doing a lot more testimonial stories of what they did. If you're a cancer, Ron McDonald House, you see their commercials. It's all about the parents and the kids staying there for free. Don't talk about, hey, I've got this nonprofit that does this because I'm passionate about saving elephants. And that's good, but tell stories. Am I on the right path here?
100%. And I saw, I think, I can't remember where I saw it, but like the idea of a nonprofit bringing in donors and like actually letting them see, where appropriate, kind of spend a day and see what people are doing and see the impact that it's having, because these are real people that we're serving and we're changing their lives. And there isn't anything that's more important than that.
Yeah. That's you're brilliant. You meet somebody for the first time, you really you get it because you've lived it, but you really understand it. And that's a valuable resource. An audience, if you have a nonprofit or a friend has a nonprofit, we'll get her contact information. I'm not a big promoter, but this is so valuable because I think nonprofits get into the weeds and where do we get donations? What's our systems? What you need to have, and they forget all the stuff that you're talking about, right?
Well, yeah, and something just to share what I've seen with some of the women that I've worked with, it's like when you are in the weeds and you're so overloaded and you've got so much on your plate, you can get disconnected from the vision that brought you into the work in the first place. And so people think, well, it's a luxury. Like, how do I take the time to do some coaching and kind of reconnect to that? But it's not a luxury, it's a necessity, because you need to be grounded in that and be driving from that place, and you will have so much more power when you do that.
Yeah, that's thank you for sharing that because that really it's simple. It's not easy to do. I always have to be careful. Oh, it's simple. People are like, oh, it's not that simple. Well, it's simple, but the action part's the hard part. That's why you come in as that third party looking with that 30-foot view going, hey, Steve,
Yeah.
Jody is these are some things I can help with. Oh, I even think about that. This is so cool. It's so good.
But that's the same as anything, right? Like when we're in the
Yeah,
middle of it,
yeah,
it's hard to see for ourselves. It's the same with me with the coach that sort of told me what was going on. You need someone with a different perspective to actually be able to help you see what you can't see
yeah,
for yourself.
yeah. Mastermind's the other word that came to my head when you were talking earlier about collaborating. Yeah, mastermind. You should be doing that. An open mastermind, not be Steve Ramona is the head of the nonprofit. Go, Danielle, you're going to do this. No, no, no. Build a collaboration. Say you're wrong. I was wrong. Okay, Danielle, we'll go your way. That simple move is a game changer for nonprofits and businesses. Just that. But it's hard, again, hard to do. What's a piece of advice you'd give women leaders and coach nonprofits that are listening?
I think the advice I'd give them is to invest in yourself. You are the first investment to make, because if you've got so much on your shoulders, you really need to be able to get support, and that we're not meant to do this alone. Because what I see the most from the women that I've worked with, when they're sharing their stories of overwhelm and depletion, is it's kind of like I felt, like it's just me, but it's not just you. There are so many women feeling like this, and it's really important to get the support, the right kind of support, so that you can keep making the greatest impact with your gifts over the long term, because the world needs you. But the world needs you well and healthy and happy and thriving, right?
Personal growth. It's podcast, books, coaches, whatever it may be. You should always be growing. I talked to an 80-year-old guy last year. He's still working, but he learned something new the week before. He's 80 years old. He's lived his life. He still learned something. And that's such a powerful message that people have to have. But as we come to the end here, I'm really excited to ask this question because I'm not sure what you're going to say. Because I'm curious, what do you see the future of nonprofits in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah. Well, I think really right now, with things that are happening in the world, there does need to be a shift in terms of how they approach sustainability. And I think that shift is starting to happen, right? How do we find innovative ways of becoming sustainable? But then I think the shift in the culture itself, we've been in this urgency culture, this scarcity culture, this competitive culture. This really needs to shift to be able to make the sector sustainable. And so everybody working in that sector can actually thrive and support each other because we all have the same goals, right? We all want to see change, positive change in the world. We're all working towards the same goal. So we need to support each other. And I see that starting to happen. And my hope is that that continues to grow over the next 3 to 5 years.
Through the whole show, I think I've counted 7 times you said thrive or thriving, which is a part of that word. I love that word for nonprofits because it could be $1,000 a month, it could be $100,000. But what are you doing to make that thriving? To me, is tied to impact. As I'm thriving, I'm impacting people. So I really appreciate you saying that. I want to bring that up, audience. Hope you write that down. One word: thriving. Are you thriving right now in your personal or professional life? Just that's a great litmus test. Are you thriving? So thank you for sharing that. Well, let's get to know you a little bit better. I want to know a little bit more about Daniela. So I've reserved a table at a restaurant for you. Everybody loves it. We have to
Yeah.
eat. So there's a table of 4. You're going to sit in one of the chairs. So you got 3 empty chairs. Who would you invite to that table, whether dead or alive, that you've always wanted to talk to, or maybe you've talked to in the past, or somebody you just like to spend a few hours with? But I think the most important question is, what food would you order?
Okay, let me think about this. I would ask Nelson Mandela to be at that table.
Amen.
Um,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
he's somebody that I deeply admire, and I would love to have him at that table and be able to speak to him and hear more about his journey. Um, yeah, and just get that wisdom, be in that wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Another person that I would have at the table is Johnny Clegg. I don't know if you know who he is. So he was
Right.
an amazing musician in South Africa. He died not that long ago. But he was a real stand against apartheid, and he had, mixed racially his band at a time when that was not happening, and he was such a powerhouse, such an amazing man. So I would love to have the opportunity to have him at that table as well. And then I think another person that I would bring to the table is my grandfather.
Oh,
Um, he also passed away. He passed away in 1999. And he was an incredible man. He was a doctor who was working in the townships of Soweto back in apartheid when white doctors were not going into the black townships. And I think for me, that notion of service is very much connected to him. And so I just feel the reason I'd invite him is because I feel like, you don't really know all the questions you want to ask until sometimes it's too late and you didn't have the opportunity to ask them. And there's so many things that I would want to ask him and share with him now. And so I would really love to have him at that table.
it's a beautiful story. What a family legacy. Holy moly. So what are these people eating?
What are they eating? Well, I would say my favorite food is Indian food. So I
Beautiful.
would I would have some Indian food there. So some palak paneer, that's like my favorite dish, which has the paneer and the spinach, some naan, some paratha, which is a different kind of bread, like a little bit more flaky. Yeah, I would I would love an Indian meal.
Sounds like a winner. Daniela, you're have a business, but your mission supersedes your business of really helping nonprofits, and they need help. Many are falling off every year because they can't make it. And a lot of times it's people like you that can help them make it. I really appreciate you coming on and spending the time talking about that. People listening, I know, want to reach out to you. How can they find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on my website, which is transformativeconversations.ca. I also am on LinkedIn and I have a YouTube channel as well that people could reach out there.
Beautiful. We'll put all that in the show notes so you have access. Thanks again, Daniela, for the time and all the beautiful words that you put out there. Audience, here's the homework for you at the end. Yeah, I'm educating again. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. And this is one of those shows that's perfect. You have a friend that has a nonprofit and they tell you all the time they're struggling. You're at a birthday party over the weekend or like, how you doing? Oh man, our nonprofit's struggling. Send them the link to this podcast of Daniela. Impact them. If they do something, great. If they don't do something, maybe the impact. But the point is, these are gifts, podcast links. It's how I feel. Done 800 of these shows, and I know I've impacted many people because of these wonderful guests that I have. So subscribe to my podcast or any other podcast. They don't have to be this one. But the nice thing is they send you links. I have 10 podcasts. I get a link. Oh, this is great. And I share it with somebody. I just sent a gift. Wouldn't you want to send gifts as much as you can? So go ahead and subscribe. And me and Daniela want to thank all of you for watching or listening to this podcast. And we'll see all of you on the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.